At ERT Systems, what we do is we offer on-site ERT, which is a portable and rapidly deployable system for tracking personnel and equipment on scene at emergency events. It's a unique combination of hardware, software, and subscription services that provide sort of that ideal combination of features that are specifically desired and useful to incident commanders while they're actually on scene at the event itself.
Mm-hmm. So how did this start?
Well, originally, and it was almost happenstance, but it worked out very well. With Simulus, I was doing a speech with Automation Alley, actually downtown, talking about specifically RFID and manufacturing. And John Ellis, the retired fire chief, was attending the event just out of his own personal interest. And he caught up with me after the speech and asked me, well, if you can keep track of stuff on a factory floor, is there a way that you could help me keep track of my guys on an emergency scene? And that conversation ultimately is what led to the original idea behind the product.
Now, how long did you talk? I mean, were these several discussions?
Oh, yeah. It took us a good, 6 or 8 meetings over 2 weeks to just come up with something that, because again, I had no experience whatsoever in the fire services market. My brother did this for a little while, and that was my entire connection to it. And John, he's again a chief. He's been a chief for a long time, but technology is not his forte. And I was astounded to find out that there quite literally was not a product like this currently on the market. So we came back and we said, okay, let's put something together and see if this idea can in fact be made to work. Now, the very first prototype, and I should show it to you. It's huge, and it's based on these little wheeled carts that you can carry around. But John, with his connections as a retired chief, actually knew of an exercise that was happening up in his area, up in Macomb. It was a mock terrorist incident at a schoolyard. So we hooked up with these guys, talked to them, asked them if they'd be interested in participating with us in just a pure proof of concept. So just using equipment essentially that we had laying around the office here, we built out 3 or 4 proto drop readers, and we used some of the tags that we used for tracking material on shop floors. We got to the event, passed out a few of the tags, kind of positioned these devices around here and there, and then just watched to see whether or not it looks like it was going to work.
So at that stage, you're totally using Simulus's resources.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, all right.
Yep, Simulus and actually myself and John essentially.
Okay.
This is where that came from, and just like I say, parts that we had laying around.
With these early adopters, would they purchase systems? They would purchase systems, and then you would deliver them. And so, okay.
Yep,
okay.
Yep. We got started very early with actual commercial sales. And again, once we actually had that prototype system in place and demonstrable, so we're no longer just kind of selling an idea as we sort of had to do with the college. We were actually selling at that point a product. And during the same time that we were approaching these different individual departments and selling to them, or trying to sell to them and achieving a few of those, we were also starting to build our family and friends list.
With that family and friends, you were able to parlay that and double it. Explain that.
The way that it was pitched to me was that if you're able to raise money from another source, be it family and friends or commercial site or whatever, you do that formally, which would be in our case, a convertible debt agreement with the different individuals.
Okay.
That the Michigan Pre-Seed Fund would then take a look at your product, your business plan. You have to pitch it to them. You got to have a legitimate business going. But if they agree that this in fact is something that's worth putting the risk in, they'll match whatever money you've been able to raise separately.
Now, do they take an equity stake?
They do. They come in actually in the exact same, essentially the exact same terms as your other investors.
So basically, you had to be willing at that stage to give up some ownership in the company,
absolutely,
right, in order to get that.
That's funding. It, and the fact is that if you don't have money and you can't grow the company, then you've got nothing.
To sort of get the initial prototypes off the ground, it seemed you were able to do that more or less from your own resources. To get into a mode where you could actually start to sell and market more aggressively, you had to take on investment.
Absolutely.
And you're looking now to do, you said another $1 million over the next 2 years?
Yep.
Okay.
We'd really like to, and this again is just it's a speed to market thing. We find ourselves in a position where we have a product that really nobody else is offering, and we've got a good leap ahead as far as the technology goes.